since day one, since I'm 16 years old, I remember the day I walked into Billy's gym in Bayonne, New Jersey. It was, I think it was November 1983. I remember that day. I was actually going to karate class across the street, and I was going there for a few weeks, and I liked it, but it didn't really captivate me. And I remember walking out. I looked right across the street, and I saw Billy's gym. I looked at my friend Dino, and I was like, "What's that?" And we went across, walked in. I smelled the weights, and to this day, I still love training. I love it, regardless if I'm competing or anything else. I love training. It is an hour to an hour and a half of me putting life aside for a second, and I carried that through the last 30 plus years. When I was competing on the local level coming up, I didn't understand what the levels were. I didn't understand at the time. It was AAU, it was NPC. I didn't get involved in any of that. I actually competed, I think, in a couple of AAU shows as a teenager and a couple of NPC shows. So it was all new to me. I didn't know the difference. I had a passion, and I didn't know what that passion was. I refer to a lot of movies. So I can't remember the name of the movie, but the movie that Tom Cruise was in, I think it was Days of Thunder. He was a race car driver. And they said, how do you do what you do? He goes, I don't know. I just get in a car. He told me to get in a car, and I could just drive. Well, I just lifted weights, and I produced a physique. I didn't really do anything special for it. So I knew that if I just give it a little effort, I would have a physique that was pretty much unbeatable. But I also knew that if I was beaten, I knew the guy had to be that good. So I was always respectful and personable to everybody I competed against. I looked at bodybuilding as a business. You gotta remember, back then we didn't have internet, we didn't have anything. We didn't have Facebook, we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have any means to connect to anybody. So I just wrote letters to every magazine that I could. I'd find everybody, whoever was in the columns in the beginning of the magazine, their names that were attached to the magazine, I'd write them a letter and tell them I'm doing the USA in '93. I just won the Junior USA. Nobody wrote me back, nobody cared. But I knew that that was part of the business plan. Got to the USA and I crushed it. I win my weight class. Right there, I'm like, in my face, it was like a whole week's worth of photo shoots. And that was my first time that I had to stay on a diet after a contest. After the contest, I usually ate whatever I wanted, and then got back to life, went back to work. This time was a week of photo shoots. And got a chance to meet Joe Weider and then rub elbows with all the guys at Golds in Venice. I've won 4 national titles. I've been blessed to travel around the world. I've been on magazine covers. I've been on covers for ads. And now that I'm 50, about to turn 51 soon, and wanting to compete, I'm hoping that, one, that I can inspire some of the young guys in the generation, of this generation, and 2, I hope that I can inspire the guys that have never had the ability to compete and how to raise a family and go to business and do business stuff and work, and now they're in their late 30s and 40s, approaching 50s, and now they're financially okay, and they say, hey, I can step back and the kids are done, I want to compete. I hope I can inspire those guys too, to show you it's not the end of the world at 40, 50 years old, that you don't have the means or necessities to get into the gym and train. If I could do it after having 2 rotator cuff surgeries, put my body back together and put it together to the sense where it's going to be competitive again. See, the way I look at it is, I don't want to be a competitor, I want to be the competition. When I get to that contest, whichever one I decide to do, I have something on the radar, but I don't want to talk about that just yet. I want to be the contest. I want to be the guy that I make everybody nervous. I want to make everybody, that's the way I was back in the 90s and early 2000s, and that's where I want to get. I don't have to necessarily win the contest, but I have to go in with a steamrolling kind of effect where I'm making my presence and just enjoying it along the way. And I just hope I can inspire a few along the way and represent GCode in a great light.
You gotta put the hand over the camera and end it. Boom.